Greetings everyone, hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. Since the Dance of Mass DLC dropped, there is one question I've been asked over and over above all others. Which archetypes pair best with each mythic path? A lot of you have hesitation regarding what to do, and I am happy to assist. In this video, I'll give a brief basic breakdown of each path and then provide you two archetype options. One that originally came with the game, and one that's specifically taken from a new subclass Outcat has provided via DLC. Keep in mind, I don't choose my classes based just on mechanics, as it also has to fit well thematically. Also, what I provide here will by no means fully encompass all the wonderful potential combinations, but hopefully this information helps all of you make a decision about which combo works right for your playthrough. Here at Slandered Gaming, we focus on CRPGs, so if that kind of content interests you, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos. We'll walk through the mythic options in alphabetical order, so first up is Aeon. This path sees you become the student of a cosmic entity that is focused on establishing law and order. As the game progresses, you'll be able to see an outline of all characters, telling you whether they are lawful or chaotic, and sometimes giving you the opportunity to punish them for lawlessness. You can also judge cases for crimes within the crusade, something the other paths are not capable of doing. Aeon provides you with two different journeys. If you stick to judging cases based on the letter of the law, you'll be a true Aeon, which provides you time-traveling capabilities and significantly changes the overall story. If you veer too much into evil or good-aligned judgments, then you'll become a renegade Aeon, who retains the mythic path mechanics but doesn't gain the time-traveling capabilities, and consequently your storyline will proceed much the same as all of the other paths. Progression in Aeon gives you a ton of immunities, making it a great option for characters who want to be more tanky. You'll also get gazes that can be activated with a swift action to provide buffs for your entire party's attack, damage, save DCs, and more, while punishing your enemies for the same amount. There's a spellbook that goes up to 7 levels, providing a variety of different choices focused around removing illusions, creating balance, and making your party impenetrable. A lot of Aeon mechanics revolve around seeing things and keeping things exactly as they should be. This is the best mythic path if you are focused on using non-undead summons. There are multiple team-wide buffs that will make all your critters significantly more powerful. Aeon's spellbook doesn't merge with any classes, and consequently, your spell level progression is slow, and for the most part, your spells aren't as powerful as what options like Lich can provide. Looking at potential class combos, the one that I really like from the base game is, of course, Judge. Thematically, this class personifies an Inquisitor who is constantly on the move, looking for threats and condemning those who have broken the law. Your conviction is so great that with merely a word, you can sentence enemies to death while skyrocketing the power of those who share your belief. Judge, of course, has access to the judgments that make playing an Inquisitor so powerful. These are sacred bonuses that will almost certainly stack with anything your team provides, along with the untyped bonuses from your Aeon gazes. Attack rolls, damage rolls, AC, saving throws, and more can all be buffed depending on the situation. The big difference between a Judge and a base Inquisitor is they can apply these bonuses to the entire team, which results in a massive increase to your entire squad's offensive and defensive capabilities. You also gain a greater sentence ability that increases the damage dealt against an enemy, along with allowing ally attacks to ignore concealment. Concealment is one of the primary ways enemies defend against your attacks, so that is very beneficial. One of the main weaknesses of Judge is that it loses access to Bane, which significantly increases your damage against a specific type of enemy. Bane is a part of the Aeon kit and effectively negates that loss. If I was to play this combo, I'd go the evil route and play as Baron Von Rotten, aka Judge Doom from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the mirthless, terrifying judge of Toontown who passes capital punishment on toons that break the law. From the list of new archetypes, I'd probably go with Weretouched under Shifter. Perfect for any character who wants to focus on natural attacks, Weretouched provides a lycanthropic form, which essentially allows you to play as a powerful werewolf. You'll also gain an aspect that can be activated with a swift action to provide inherent bonuses to your strength, dexterity, and constitution. All of it is very powerful. It makes this class a ton of fun to play with, but also vulnerable because you have no buffs or spellcasting abilities. Aeon will provide a ton of immunities that are absolutely perfect for tanking Unstoppable Wolf Run. It also provides a myriad of buffs that will make you feel borderline invulnerable. Wear Touch doesn't even allow you to be chaotic good or chaotic evil, and there's a strong focus on maintaining neutrality in your spirit that fits very well with the Aeon theme. If I was going to run this combo, I'd do it as a slightly altered version of Bigsby Wolf from Fables and the Wolf Among Us. He was previously the big bad wolf, but now he serves the community as a detective protecting them from harm. I'd slightly alter how Bigsby is represented in the comics and game to instead play him as someone who is deeply aware of the beast within and no longer trusts himself. Consequently, he completely turns over his decision making to the letter of the law and lets it decide what is right and wrong. Next up we have Angel. This path puts you in the shoes of someone who has received a sword of heaven that provides you with angelic abilities. Over time, you will encounter other angels, providing you with more opportunities to learn more about heaven and Iomedae than any of the other mythic options. Angel provides you with two different thematic paths, one where you focus more on goodness and protecting the innocent, or another that's much more focused on smiting demons. Consequently, you do have some wiggle room in how you roleplay this character. Completing the story as an ascended angel is, in my opinion, the most satisfying ending in the entire game. Angel is also one of the strongest paths mechanically. You'll receive a level 10 spellbook that can be merged with Cleric, Oracle, Druid, and Shaman classes. When you merge a Mythic spellbook, you'll choose a spellbook from a class that you have gained at least one level in. From that point on, your spellcaster level is your level in that class plus your Mythic level. So for example, if I was playing as a level 11 Cleric and then merged with Angel at Mythic level 3, then my spellcaster level moving forward would be 14. Consequently, merged spellbooks gain spells significantly faster, you'll have more spell slots to use, and it allows you access to level 10 spells, which are some of the most powerful options in the game. You can select Angel even if you are playing a class that cannot merge spellbooks, but you will only reach level 9 Angel spells. This is all very important to understand because Angel has the second best Mythic spellbook in the game, and it contains the best buffing spells in the entire game, allowing you to provide companions everything they need at the click of a button. It also provides you with Bolt of Justice, one of the best offensive spells in the entire game, and the only one that gets better the more powerful and more evil your target is. On top of all this, visually, Angel is absolutely spectacular, providing a spectacle of light and color with just about everything that you do. There is literally no way to go wrong with Angel mechanically. Regardless of whether you are a spellcaster, martial character, tank, or focused on crowd control, Angel is a great option. Looking at potential class combos, the one that I really like from the base game is, of course, Crusader. I've mentioned this class multiple times on the channel, and I think it's the absolute best when you are playing as Angel. First of all, obviously everything you do in the game revolves around being a Crusader, so thematically it fits your playthrough like a glove. It's also under Cleric, so you will be able to combine spellbooks and receive those delicious level 10 spells. The real draw of the class is that in exchange for sacrificing one domain, you get 5 bonus feats that provide you options that clerics usually cannot select, such as weapon specialization, greater weapon specialization, and greater weapon focus. This is a huge increase to your damage with any weapon. Slap all the incredible martial buffs from Angel on top of this, and you've got a real wrecking ball. A fully buffed Crusader Angel charging in front of your group while wielding a completely upgraded Radiance is truly a sight to behold. If I was to go this route, I'd probably recreate Wonder Woman from DC Comics legend, an Amazon who repeatedly puts her life on the line to protect the entire galaxy. From the list of new archetypes, I'd probably go with Titan Fighter. This class allows you to dual wield two-handed weapons, which is just as amazing as it sounds. It also replaces some of your bonus feats with Ranger 2-weapon feat options. This is important because usually you could only select 2-weapon feats if your dexterity was a certain amount, but with the Ranger options, you can go all in on strength and leave dexterity at 10 while still being a dual-wielding force of nature. No question, this is a very powerful way to play the game offensively, but defensively, Titan Fighter gives you nothing, and it has no spellcasting ability, so you really need a quality team to help shore up its weaknesses. By combining this archetype with Angel, you pretty much wipe out those deficits, and this playstyle becomes several times more interesting. Angel has a lot of great martial buffs, and there are buffs which react when enemies damage you, so it's perfect for a tank who is always in the mix. Many of these buffs are team-wide, so instead of being a character your squad mates have to babysit, you'll be a pillar of the group both offensively and defensively. If I was to play this character, I'd use Shunsui Kaioraku, captain of the 1st Division in Bleach, one of my all-time favorite anime series. He's super cool, laid back, and strongly believes in peace. Shunsui repeatedly tries to talk his way out of battles before unleashing his giant blades and devastating opponents. Next on the list is Azata. This path has you accepting help from creatures in Elysium who believe in spreading joy and freedom. The storyline has you challenging the forces of evil with the power of friendship. It's a lot of fun and has more levity than most of the other paths. It's also the only way for you to unlock Avu, a chaos dragon who will follow you everywhere you go. As time goes on, she will get significantly larger until she's almost the size of a full dragon. You can even mount her later in the game. Avu also gets a ton of dialogue, much of which is adorable, hilarious, and sometimes deeply insightful. Azata gives you songs that increase saving throws, provide immunity to compulsion spells, or heal your companions. You also get access to superpowers, which, as you might guess, have absolutely spectacular effects. The most popular one is Zippy Magic, which allows you to take a spell that targets one enemy and instead make it target 2 enemies as long as they are within 30 feet of each other. So basically, whether you are focused on crowd control or DPS, you can double your spellcasting output. A close second is Incredible Might, which gives you a massive bonus on attack and damage rolls, along with a 30% chance to stun enemies anytime you charge or connect with a critical hit. There are several more superpowers that also have fabulous effects. Consequently, Azata is a great choice, whether you are a martial or spellcasting character. The only caveat is spellcasters will benefit the most if they are focused on targeting one enemy. Characters that are using area of effects won't benefit from Zippy Magic, and Azata won't be nearly as useful to them. Azata also provides a spellbook that isn't as powerful as Lich or Angel, but there are some really nice options. 2 of those spells basically give you a rest and restore your spell slots up to level 5 or 7, which is insanely useful. Another one provides a large bonus to one of your attribute scores. Looking at potential class combos, the one that I really like from the base game is Cavalier of the Paw. This class forces you to play as a halfling who rides either a wolf or dog. The pet limitation is no issue because the wolf and dog are 2 of the best options available and automatically trip enemies they attack, which is fantastic both defensively and offensively. Having any pet on your team just automatically makes the game significantly easier, and they are no exception. Cavaliers heavily benefit from charging as often as possible, which means it'll be even more impactful when you trigger Incredible Might. At level 1, you'll automatically get a buff when challenging opponents that raises your mount's AC by up to +6. Obviously that's really nice, but at level 15, just when you start facing the top tier enemies, you'll get another buff whenever attacking an enemy who is at least large that increases your damage roll by half your level. Smallest guy challenging the toughest enemies and winning sounds perfect for an Azata run. And since you are tiny, you can use buffs that increase your size while still being able to ride your mount or even Avu if you so choose. If I was to do this run, I'd play as Peregrine Took, better known as Pippin from the Lord of the Rings series. He's a hobbit or halfling who joins the Fellowship of the Ring, a band of warriors from across different lands who come together to stop evil. By the end of the series, he becomes a respected Knight of Gondor. From the list of new archetypes, I'd probably go with Magic Deceiver. A Magic Deceiver has learned to fool magic itself, allowing you to create spells that really shouldn't exist. This type of fun and creative playstyle mixes very well with Azata. This archetype allows you to fuse spells together for crazy effects in the field. Combine that with Zippy Magic and your character can wreak absolute havoc on enemies. Azata also provides the favorable magic superpower, which forces enemies to roll their dice twice when trying to make a saving throw against your spells. This is fantastic for Magic Deceiver because you cannot use meta magic feats on fused spells, so it's harder to raise their DC. Forcing enemies to roll twice helps mitigate this limitation. Magic Deceiver can also refresh spell slots, and when you combine that with Azata refresh spells, it extends the length of time you are able to cast spells to absolutely bonkers levels. If I was going to play this subclass, I'd probably do it as Zatanna, another DC Comics legend. She's known not only as a powerful magician, but also as a well-renowned student of magic. Zatanna also frequently fights alongside her many friends within the Justice League. Coming up next, we have Demon. This mythic path has you playing as someone who has a demon inside of them that compels you to have manic outbursts of rage and violence. Because many can tell you are a demon, this path provides the opportunity to side with the Abyss against the Crusade and basically flip the entire conflict on its head. Demon, along with Angel, has some of the most content in the game, and its story is very strong. It's also one of the best evil playthroughs in all of gaming and has one of the best endings. Demon mechanics give you aspects of different demons which provide powerful buffs while you rage. This includes increasing your melee attack rolls, melee damage, spell DC, and more. At the same time, you will penalize all enemies within 30 feet for the same amount. Consequently, Demon is fantastic at both buffing yourself and debuffing enemies, which makes it a great choice regardless of whether you are a martial or spellcasting character. You also get Demonic Charge, which teleports you to an enemy while also dealing unholy damage to all enemies within a 10-foot range around both the starting and end points. That power is a ton of fun to use and really adds a lot of utility to your character. Demon comes with a 5-level spellbook that includes options to polymorph into an assortment of really awesome looking demons. These forms each come with their own buffs and abilities that can be used while you are transformed. Looking at potential class combos, the one that I really like from the base game is Wildland Shaman. This subclass has you playing as a character who subjugates spirits and animals, forcing them to serve him. Like all shamans, you'll have access to hexes, which are very powerful buffing and debuffing tools in Pathfinder. Wildland Shaman also forces you to play as an orc, which is one of the best races for a martial playthrough. This archetype also forces you to use the Battle Spirit, which will significantly increase your melee capabilities. All of this meshes perfectly with Demon. Most importantly, this archetype gives you a pet, and as I've already mentioned, pets are very powerful. Unlike Cavalier options, almost none of the Wildland Shaman mechanics revolve around charging, which is very useful because as a demon, you really want to use Demonic Charge anytime you can, but it costs a move action to use it, removing your ability to perform a regular charge. That's not an issue with Wildland Shaman, so you can teleport to wherever you need and then go to town. Thematically and mechanically, this combination just works. I've already pulled off a very similar run to this when I played as the Zog, the Defiler, a pale orc from the Hobbit series who is famous for rage, bloodshed, and riding upon a terrifying wolf. From the list of new archetypes, I'd probably go with Rage Shaper. This shifter subclass places you in the role of someone who flies into bloodletting frenzies that are fueled by your wrath. Instead of attacking with claws, you use slams and literally hammer your enemies to death. Instead of shifting into a different creature, your rage is triggered, causing you to significantly increase in size, and your slams grow exponentially more powerful. It's pretty obvious this class is based around the Hulk, but I would take things a step further and play as Maestro, the version of him from an alternate future who possesses all of Bruce Banner's intelligence, the Hulk's strength, and most importantly, his more malevolent personality traits. Next on the list is Devil. This path has you playing as someone who has been seduced by a devil into siding with Asmodeus. Unlike the other paths we have reviewed thus far, this is a late game option and you will spend most of your playthrough as either an Aeon or Azata. Once you switch over, you'll still retain the mechanics from either path, but moving forward, you'll pick up Devil mechanics. The storyline has you interacting with characters who come from the city of Cheliax, which is run by worshippers of Asmodeus. This is the only way to meet these characters, so while paths such as Demon or Angel provide a lot more context for the people you meet in the main story, Devil gives you insight into a completely different area. There's also recently been some new content added that allows you to corrupt Queen Galfrey, potentially even getting her to sign a contract, but I haven't seen it yet. Mechanically, Devil retains much of what makes Azata or Aeon great, and that makes this path powerful as well. In addition, you'll gain decrees and seals that provide powerful temporary buffs for your party. These include raising the DC for all spells in a school by half your mythic rank, dealing unholy damage to all nearby enemies, and ensuring you automatically save when targeted with an illusion or enchantment spell. While you do not get a full spell book, you do get multiple spells that can be casted at will, meaning they do not use a spell slot. The most powerful one is Hellfire Ray, which is the best blaster spell in the game and makes Devil a great choice if you want to concentrate on that playstyle. Honestly though, outside of that, Devil mechanics are mediocre, and it's the stuff you get from Azata or Aeon that will really make it shine. Looking at potential class combos, the one that I really like from the base game is of course Hell Knight Signifer. As opposed to paladins who focus on goodness and charity, Hell Knights are much more focused on maintaining order. They have deep respect and close association with devils, and many of them worship Asmodeus. Hell Knights also play a significant role in the story, and they will comment on you being a Hell Knight and on your decision to become a devil. Signifers serve as the spellcasting arm of Hell Knights. Consequently, they must start as arcane or divine spellcasters, and you'll be able to take full advantage of at-will Hellfire Ray casting, which is very nice. In addition, Signifers get lower armor check penalties and arcane spell failure chances than other classes, allowing you to wear heavy armor while still spellcasting. To roleplay this archetype, I would play as Dr. Doom from Marvel Comics Legend. He's a supervillain whose ultimate goal is to bring order to humanity through world conquest. Doom is just as harsh with himself as he is with others and has a very strict code of conduct. He also almost constantly wears a mask that hides his features, which is also consistent with how Hell Knights operate. Finally, he's also an accomplished sorcerer who wears a suit of heavy armor. From the list of new archetypes, I'd probably go with Living Grimoire. This puts you in the role of a person wielding the sacred word of their deity. You literally attack enemies with a book and cast spells from it. Everything revolves around this text and the importance of it to your life. The capstone ability, Word of God, is probably the best death effect in the entire game, dealing 10d6 divine damage even if your enemy passes the save. If I was to use this combo, I would play as Light Yagami from the Death Note series. He writes names into the Death Note book in order to kill people he despises. Over time, the general public comes to see his killings as the actions of a deity. Next up, we have Gold Dragon. This mythic path has you siding with, you guessed it, a gold dragon who guides you on a path of goodness and redemption. The story revolves around settling disputes between dragons while also trying to find a peaceful solution to the world wound. A big part of it is also the sacrifice of self and the willingness to give up everything in order to protect those that you love. Honestly, this path probably has the least amount of story content out of all the options, so unfortunately most players find the journey a little lackluster. Similar to Devil, Gold Dragon is a late game path, but unlike Devil, all of your previous mechanics will be wiped out and you'll only have what this path provides. In addition, this path doesn't have a spellbook, and the Gold Dragon form that it provides is so huge that it's basically unusable unless you are in wide open spaces, which oftentimes you are not. Luckily, GD does provide some pretty monster bonuses, including a ton of immunities, raising all your attributes to at least 18, raising your base attack bonus to over 20, and making all of your spells deal D8 damage. This creates a situation where Gold Dragon is very powerful mechanically, but I think it feels less mythic than the other paths because there just aren't enough moving parts. Options like Azata, Angel, or Aeon will provide you with a wealth of spells, songs, buffs, and abilities that get steadily more powerful as your mythic level increases. Gold Dragon is basically just a stat increase, which may or may not work for you. This also means GD works best when you are using a class that benefits from a lot of different statistics. That way, its across the board increases will make a real difference in your playthrough. Looking at potential class combos, the one that I really like from the base game is, bear with me because thematically it doesn't fit, but don't worry, we'll make it work, Sword Saint. Sword Saint is one of the absolute best classes in the game, and in the right hands, you can become virtually indestructible. This is a Magus subclass, so of course you attack with a weapon while at the same time using touch spells to destroy opponents. Sword Saint adds their intelligence modifier to their armor class, and their critical hits deal significantly more damage. Your Sword Saint levels will also count as your base attack bonus and slightly reduce fighter levels for the purpose of unlocking feats. This gives Sword Saint access to powerful feats that other Magus classes do not have. To be great with this archetype, you need high strength, dexterity, intelligence, and probably some constitution as well. That means the across-the-board bonuses Gold Dragon provides really feed well into this subclass and help make you a monster. If I use this combo, I would go with Syrio Forel from the Game of Thrones series. He trains Arya Stark as a young child in swordplay, teaching her discipline and how to deal with terrifying circumstances. One day, soldiers finally come and attempt to execute her. Syrio willingly gives up his life to save her, and his memory changes Arya forever. From the list of new archetypes, I'd probably go with Tortured Crusader. This places you in the shoes of a character who repeatedly endures physical, mental, and spiritual trials. Despite knowing at any time they may be defeated, these characters push forward, fueled by a dedication to righteousness over hopelessness. This archetype takes just about everything that makes Paladin great, dials it up a bit, and then makes it only apply to your character. The team-wide buffs that increase saves are gone, and you cannot channel energy. In addition, your caster ability is wisdom instead of charisma, and you don't have a pet. In exchange, your smites work against everybody now, not just evil creatures. There are quite a few neutral enemies in the game, so this is really nice. Also, while you lose Mark of Justice, which increases the damage for your entire team against one enemy, you gain Final Justice, which doubles your damage against one foe. Finally, the capstone ability is pretty crazy, providing a chance every time you smite an enemy that you will also stun them, along with letting you make an additional attack with your full attack bonus anytime you perform a full attack. Insanity! This class utilizes wisdom, strength, a little bit of dexterity, and a little bit of constitution, so again, the Gold Dragon bonuses are fantastic. To play this combo, I would use Vegeta from the Dragon Ball Z series. He's selfish and not really a team player, but yet still, after a couple of beatings from Goku, he tries to live a righteous life. He's not as good as Goku and is constantly getting absolutely demolished, but he always gets right back up and storms back into the fight. Speaking of which, I'd be remiss to bring this up without saying RIP to Akira Toriyama. His work gave me many amazing childhood memories and is deeply appreciated. Rest in peace. Moving on to the next path, we have Legend. This story has you rejecting mythic power and instead choosing to become mortal once again. That has major story implications and gives you more information regarding the main villain, Aurilu Vorlesh, than any of the other paths. Beyond that, major characters who are part of stories from the other mythic paths will still exist, and there's a ton of reactivity for what you have done. In my opinion, Legend provides the most entertaining crusade management experience. Legend is a late game path, similar to Gold Dragon and Devil. Unlike Devil, you do not retain any of the previous mythic abilities. If you happen to be a trickster, there are a couple of things you can do that will stick, but otherwise everything gets cleared. Mechanically, Legend is both deceptively simple and incredibly powerful. You get 20 additional levels to do with whatever you wish. So basically, you can stack 2 fully leveled classes together. This sounds great, and it is, but you cannot just stick any 2 classes together and think you are making the most out of this option, because many things do not stack, such as caster levels, so you have to be careful to focus on features that actually benefit from having 40 levels. If you do that, then there's no question Legend is one of, if not mechanically, the most powerful mythic path in the game. Looking at potential class combos, the one that I really like from the base game is Vivisectionist combined with Knife Master. Vivisectionist under Alchemist is one of the best subclasses in the game, providing you with a ton of sneak attack damage along with medical discoveries that activate effects when you sneak attack and provide alchemical bonuses. Knife Master lets you roll d8s instead of d6s for sneak attack damage, as long as you are using daggers, cookery, or a similar weapon. The sneak attack damage stacks, and the increase will count across the board, making this pretty much the ultimate stab somebody in the back type of character. To take advantage of this kit, I'd play as Chucky from the Child's Play horror series. He's a vicious serial killer who transfers his soul into a doll to escape death. Chucky is infamous for using a steak knife to sneak up behind unsuspecting victims and repeatedly stab them in the back. From the list of new archetypes, I'd probably go with Bloodseeker and combine it with Shifter. Bloodseeker is the ultimate vampire archetype in Wrath of the Righteous, giving you cursed undead blood along with a bite that provides temporary hit points that stack, along with giving you more blood to fuel nocturnal abilities. Nocturnal abilities can provide profane bonuses to dexterity, strength, AC, and damage, so they are very useful and will almost certainly stack with the other bonuses that you have. You can also turn into a flock of ravens whose attacks replenish your blood pool, and the capstone ability provides a +6 profane bonus to dexterity, strength, and intelligence. The problem is Bloodseeker doesn't specialize in natural attacks, so the bite effectiveness is unimpressive, which makes the rest of the kit so-so. Enter Shifter, which changes the situation at level 6 because you can choose a single primary natural weapon and make a full attack with that weapon. So now your bite is primary, and all of a sudden you are stacking temporary hit points and getting blood to fuel your physical capabilities pretty much constantly. Not to mention, Shifter will allow you to change into different animals, including wolves. Since this combination allows you to play an undead character who bites their enemies and can change into birds or wolves, it only makes sense we play as Dracula, the legendary king of all vampires. Coming up next, we have Lich. This path places you in the shoes of someone accepting tutelage from a master lich. Over the course of the game, you will perform a myriad of tasks towards the goal of creating a phylactery, mutilating your soul, and finally achieving lichdom. It's unquestionably an epic tale and one of the very best in the game. Many players will tell you they believe Lich mechanically is the best mythic path, and it's hard to disagree with them. In my opinion, they get the best spellbook in the game, which has pretty much all of the base arcane options you can get, along with a ton of Lich specific spells that are absolutely devastating in multiple ways. Similar to Angel, Lich also has level 10 spells if you merge your spellbook with an appropriate class. Wizards, sorcerers, arcanists, and witches who can reach spell level 9 can also merge with Lich. You also get unique Lich powers that can do things like change the damage of your grenades to negative energy or significantly increase your spell resistance. Lich is also the only path with abilities that will directly interact with Kineticist and Alchemist archetype mechanics. This mythic path also provides bonuses to all of your undead summons, making them significantly more powerful. On that same token, you get a skeleton servant who has a few base templates you can choose from to build it up in the exact way that benefits your team the most. Over time, you will also raise multiple characters as undead guardians who follow you everywhere, and they will receive your undead bonuses. Keep in mind this is also a weakness of the path, as these undead guardians almost never speak, and you experience significantly less reactivity than other mythic paths get. Lich is a very solitary experience, which of course feels right all things considered, but it might damage your enjoyment of the experience. Looking at potential class combos, the one that I really like from the base game is Cross-Blooded Sorcerer. This lets you choose an undead bloodline, which causes enchantment spells to work against the undead. To me, it makes 100% sense the Lich would be able to manipulate undead in whatever way he pleases. In addition, the capstone passive of this bloodline is called One of Us and says your form has rotted to the point undead see you as kin. Pitch perfect for Lich. You can also pick up the Arcane Bloodline to increase the DC of most spells that have had their level raised by meta magic feats. On top of all this thematic goodness, Cross-Blooded is a full caster, which can merge spellbooks with Lich. Your caster ability is also Charisma, which is useful because once you finish transforming from a mortal to a Lich, Constitution no longer serves any purpose, and your health is dictated by your Charisma score. To play this combo, I would use John Irenicus from Baldur's Gate 2, a powerful spellcaster who decides your blood is the key to his immortality. In that game, he considers vampirism but decides it's too risky. This time, he will wholly embrace becoming an undead. From the list of new archetypes, I'd probably go with Reanimator. This alchemist archetype slightly lowers the damage from your bombs, but in return gives you undead summons along with alchemical buffs to them, which will stack with what Lich provides. In addition, I've already mentioned Lich has multiple abilities that interact directly with bombs and will make up for the damage decrease. To play this class, I would take Qyburn, another famous character from the Game of Thrones series. He's a maester of science who was expelled for conducting human experiments and eventually brings back Sir Gregor Clegane as an undead warrior. Next on the list is Swarm. This path has you nurturing a Vescivore queen to mimic what she is able to do. Eventually, you will become a creature literally made of small bugs that devour everything in their path. This is another late game path and is considered so evil that literally all your party members leave the group. It also provides you with more information regarding Deskari and his history than any of the other paths. Mechanically, this path is equally unique. As you advance through the story, you'll devour more people and the size of your swarm will grow, allowing you to create clones of yourself. These clones essentially replace party members, except they all have exactly the same mechanics as you do. This is of course both a gift and a curse, because if the same class repeats 5 times, that potentially means you are missing critical spells or mechanics that other classes would give the team. You only start with a couple of clones, and there are a lot of tough fights before you can get a full group. Consequently, you have to choose your swarm class and mythic options carefully, because it's easy to end up in a situation where the game is virtually unplayable depending on what difficulty you are using. In addition to the clones, you get control over your swarm, allowing you to attack all enemies with physical damage or potentially panic them. You also gain immunities to most negative statuses that would affect the physical body, and the damage from your attack scales with your swarm size. Your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores also scale with your swarm size. Looking at potential class combos, the one that I really like from the base game is Kineticist. It's flat out the most powerful class in the game and allows you to absolutely destroy powerful groups by yourself. You unlock infusions that will target large clusters of enemies, allowing you to deal massive damage while at the same time tripping them. It works against pretty much everyone, and there's a few items in the game which will make your mechanics even better. Having 5 Kineticists on the same team will allow you to steamroll the competition. You'll be vulnerable to crowd control, so be sure to take the magic nullification ability, which will significantly help to limit how much enemies can impact you. It also helps if you have party members focused on creating or buying different potions you can utilize to activate useful buffs as well. To play this combo, I'd use Gambit from the X-Men. Formerly a hero, he is captured by Apocalypse, brainwashed, and turned into the Horseman of Death. Of course, he still retains his mutant ability to kinetically charge anything he touches. From the list of new archetypes, obviously Sharpshooter Kinetic would work, but I'd probably go with Hag of Garona. This subclass puts you in the role of someone who has made a dark pact with a Night Hag. This removes your ability to select a patron and automatically gives you a list of spells including Invisibility, Serenity, and Sea Mantle. The spells are uninspiring, but it really doesn't matter because you'll still have access to a level 9 Witch spellbook along with a handful of fantastic hexes. The DC for all your spells with the Fear descriptor will also be increased by 2. Things get a little more interesting by level 8 when up to 3 times per day you can automatically perform a greater dispel on enemies when you use a mind affecting spell or hex against them. That's going to be extremely useful when you don't have any party members and need to peel away enemy defenses. The real appeal comes at level 12 when your Night Hag becomes a permanent companion. Her level scales with yours, and over time she will have access to powerful spells like Haste, Dispel Magic, Phantasmal Killer, and Cone of Cold. You cannot directly control her, but you can give her gear such as rings, mask, and armor. She gets spell penetration and her caster level steadily increases as well. When you reach level 20, she will become a level 23 companion. Really interesting stuff all the way around. Advancing through the late game with just witch mechanics is probably a little bit painful, but I'd still give it a whirl. To play this combo, I'd probably go with Wednesday Addams from the Addams family. All grown up, her and her mother have become bitter and wrathful following the unexpected and tragic death of Goldman's atoms. Last but certainly not least is Trickster. This path puts you in the shoes of someone who discovers a secret council of creatures from faraway lands who are plotting a creative strategy for dealing with the world wound. Out of all the story paths, this one makes the least amount of sense, and that's by design. It's also very polarizing, with most people either loving it or absolutely despising it. For the record, I fall into the latter, but again, there's many who believe it's great, and there are absolutely some hilarious moments you can't get anywhere else. What's not up for debate is how incredible Trickster is mechanically, especially if you have a melee-focused party. There are 3 sets of tricks that are associated with all the skills in the game, and some of their effects are truly incredible. You can build up persuasion so that enemies are automatically paralyzed at the start of combat, or focus on perception and provide access to rare feats for your entire party that let them trigger critical hits significantly more often. It's really great stuff, and there's a ton of different combinations. In addition to this, Trickster has a spellbook that's equally zany, with options like microscopic proportions, which will make your character very tiny while also providing a large buff to dexterity. Another spell lets you summon beer elementals, or a cranky wizard who has powerful spells but also has a chance to turn against you. Really cool stuff all the way around. Looking at potential class combos, the one that I really like from the base game is Grenadier. This is the ultimate bomb-throwing alchemist subclass, as you automatically pick up the infusion, which ensures your bombs don't impact party members and critical hits with your bombs stagger opponents. It's also a great support option that gets a nice list of class skills meshing perfectly with Trickster mechanics. To roleplay this, I go with Naruto from the iconic anime series of the same name. He has a limited number of Rasengan that can be used, and then Naruto must depend upon his tricks and ingenuity to survive brutal encounters. Of course, we could have used the Nine-Tailed Heir, but that subclass is horrible, so I just can't do it. From the list of new archetypes, I'd probably go with Dark Lurker. This subclass lets you teleport while in the presence of an enemy who is taller than you, and then make a sneak attack against any creature within 30 feet who is larger than you. By level 14, the sneak attack is upgraded to a full attack. A small, sneaky rogue who can strike out of nowhere and uses all of the tricks at her disposal to take out a target sounds like Arya Stark from Game of Thrones. All grown up, she has a list of people who must die and will do whatever it takes to make that happen. Side note, I know many of you were probably expecting Magic Deceiver to be listed here. As I mentioned before, from a spellcasting standpoint, Trickster doesn't work well unless you are a blaster, and that's an area where Magic Deceiver is just not particularly good. Even though from a thematic standpoint they are perfect for one another, I don't recommend using this combination. That's all the information I have regarding how to pair mythic paths with specific archetypes. I'd love to hear your feedback regarding this video. Did this help you? Do you have any additional questions? What class are you going to choose for your next run? Hopefully this information helped you figure out your playthroughs and gave you some new ideas. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts down in the comments, and hope all of you enjoyed this video. Take care.